A young Cersei Lannister, accompanied by her nervous companion Melara Heatherspoon, ventures through the woods of the Westerlands. Melara is hesitant and reluctant to continue, but Cersei persuades her to go on. They eventually come upon a secluded hut in the forest, belonging to a mysterious woman known as Maggie, a woods witch. Despite Melara's unease, Cersei steps forward boldly and enters the hut first. Upon meeting the witch, Cersei demands to have her future foretold. Maggie, wary at first, hesitates, but when Cersei threatens her with violence, claiming she will gouge out the witch's eyes, Maggie reluctantly agrees. She explains that she will need a drop of Cersei's blood to proceed. Cersei, undeterred, pricks her finger with a dagger, offering the blood willingly. After tasting it, Maggie grants her 3 questions. The first question Cersei asks is whether she will marry the prince. Maggie answers cryptically that Cersei will not marry the prince, but she will marry the king and become queen. Cersei then inquires about her future children. Maggie reveals that while the king will father 20 children, Cersei will only bear 3. The twist comes with Maggie's grim words, "Gold will be their crowns and gold their burial shrouds," foreshadowing the premature deaths of her children. Lastly, Cersei asks about her reign. Maggie delivers a chilling prophecy, warning that though Cersei will indeed be queen, her reign will not last. A younger and more beautiful queen will eventually rise to take her place, along with all that Cersei holds dear. This moment, filled with foreboding, sets the stage for Cersei's future, a life driven by fear of losing power, attempting to control her fate, and struggling against the prophecy that shadows her every decision. In the present, Cersei Lannister enters the Great Sept of Baelor, her footsteps echoing through the Grand Hall as she approaches the altar to pay her respects to her father, Tywin Lannister. The weight of his death presses down on her, but there's a simmering anger beneath her grief. Inside the Sept, she finds her brother Jaime, who had taken the decisive action of freeing Tyrion. She confronts him with sharp, biting words, accusing him of indirectly causing Tywin's demise, and the bitterness between them grows. Cersei's fury at Jaime is palpable, a manifestation of her deep frustration at the unraveling of the Lannister legacy. At Tywin's wake, Cersei is approached by Lancel Lannister, her former lover, who has since become a fervent member of the Sparrows, a rising religion. With a penitent expression, Lancel seeks forgiveness for their past adulterous relationship and confesses to his role in getting her husband, Robert Baratheon, drunk on the day of his death. Cersei, however, is unmoved by his contrition. She mocks Lancel for his newfound piety and denies any involvement in or knowledge of the circumstances surrounding Robert's death. Her dismissal of him is complete, and she turns her attention elsewhere, uninterested in his apology or the moral complexities he now presents. Elsewhere in the capital, Loras Tyrell and the male prostitute Oliver share a private moment in bed. As they lie together, they muse over a birthmark on Loras's thigh that resembles the shape of Dorne, adding a playful air to their encounter. However, the tranquility is short-lived when Margaery Tyrell walks in on them. Displeased with Loras's lack of discretion, Margaery scolds him and sends Oliver away. Loras, ever defiant, points out that his sexuality is an open secret in King's Landing, rendering any need for discretion redundant. He then shifts the conversation to Tywin's death, suggesting that without Tywin's political power looming over them, Cersei will no longer be able to force him into marriage. Loras further speculates that Cersei's newfound freedom will leave her in King's Landing, where she will likely continue to meddle with Margaery's life. Margaery, ever composed and calculating, simply responds with a cool, perhaps, signaling that she's ready for whatever comes next. The interplay between these characters highlights the shifting dynamics of power, desire, and vengeance in King's Landing. Tywin's death has upended the political order, leaving a vacuum that everyone seeks to fill, whether through manipulation, alliance, or revenge. The subtle power struggles between Cersei, Margaery, and Loras are beginning to unfold, with each player aware of the delicate balance of control that will shape their fates in the days to come. Tyrion Lannister, weary and disheveled, steps off the ship as he arrives in the bustling city of Pentos. His escape from Westeros has not been a comfortable one. Hidden in a crate for the duration of the journey, he is finally freed. Varys, ever calm and collected, wastes no time in explaining the circumstances of their shared. He and Illyrio Mopatis had worked in secret to restore House Targaryen to the throne of Westeros. However, their plans have failed, leaving them stranded in Pentos with little hope of returning to King's Landing. Tyrion, consumed by bitterness and despair, is not interested in the grand plans Varys speaks of. He is a broken man, drowning in self-loathing and determined to drink himself into oblivion. Varys, however, is not one to indulge in such self-pity. He chastises Tyrion sharply, telling him that he still has value, that his talents, sharp wit, intelligence, and cunning, are still needed. Varys reminds him that his talents are crucial in the game for the Iron Throne. Tyrion may be broken, but he is far from useless. With Westeros in turmoil, Varys points out the need for a ruler who can restore order. The Seven Kingdoms, he says, are teetering on the edge of collapse. What is required is someone who is stronger than King Tommen, yet more compassionate than Stannis Baratheon, someone beloved by the common people, capable of keeping the nobility in check. Tyrion scoffs, dismissing the notion that such a ruler exists. But Varys, ever cryptic, counters with a pointed remark, "I never said this ruler would be a man." With that, the possibility of a new and unexpected candidate for the throne begins to take shape. Varys offers Tyrion a choice. He can remain in Pentos, wallowing in his misery and continuing his self-destructive path. Or he can join Varys on a journey to Meereen to meet Daenerys Targaryen, the last surviving member of House Targaryen, who may just be the answer to the chaos in Westeros. After a long pause, as Tyrion contemplates his bleak future, he makes his decision. With a resigned sigh, he agrees to travel with Varys to Meereen. Though filled with doubt and uncertainty, the prospect of a new purpose, perhaps redemption in a land far from the broken remnants of his family's power, awakens something in Tyrion. The journey ahead is uncertain, but the choice to move forward marks the beginning of Tyrion's involvement in Daenerys Targaryen's rise to power, a chapter that will significantly alter the course of Westeros's fate. The Unsullied, a fearsome force of perfectly trained soldiers, make a bold statement in Meereen. With synchronized precision, they topple the massive golden harpy statue from the top of the Great Pyramid, sending it crashing to the ground below. The fall of the harpy is a powerful symbol to the Meereenese people. The old traditions and symbols of slavery are gone, replaced by the rule of House Targaryen. This is no longer the city of their old masters. It now belongs to Daenerys and the dragons. However, even as the Targaryen banner is raised, unrest simmers beneath the surface. White Rat, an unsullied soldier, is seen walking into a brothel in the heart of the city. Despite his formidable training and reputation, he is weary and vulnerable, seeking comfort in the arms of a prostitute. As he lies in bed, the violence of his past life follows him. His throat is suddenly slit by a member of the Sons of the Harpy, a secretive resistance group that opposes Daenerys' rule. The assassin leaves behind a mask, a symbol of their defiance. Upon hearing of the murder, Daenerys orders that the murderer's mask be brought to her. In a move to both honor the fallen soldier and make a statement to the people, she commands Grey Worm to track down those responsible. The soldier's body is then sent to the Temple of the Graces for burial, a symbolic act to show the city that the Targaryens will not bow to rebellion. Meanwhile, Hizdahr zo Loraq and Daario Naharis return from their mission to Yunkai. They bring good news. Through diplomatic negotiations, the wise masters of Yunkai have agreed to surrender power, giving control of the city to a council made up of both former slaves and former slave owners. In exchange for this peace agreement, the wise masters ask Daenerys to allow the reopening of the fighting pits, an arena where slaves once fought to the death for the amusement of the wealthy. Daenerys, disgusted by the practice and what it represents, refuses. However, Daario, ever persuasive, takes a different approach. He recounts his own experiences fighting in the pits during his youth, explaining how it was his skill in the arena that ultimately led him to the Second Sons, and eventually to Daenerys' service. His words strike a chord with Daenerys, who begins to reconsider her stance. Yet, as they converse, Daario remarks on the absence of Drogon, the dragon that once roamed freely and was a symbol of Daenerys' power. His comment brings an uncomfortable truth to the forefront. A dragon queen without dragons is a queen with diminished strength. Later, Daenerys seeks to visit her other two dragons, Viserion and Rhaegal, whom she has locked away in the catacombs beneath Meereen in an attempt to keep them safe from causing harm to the city, or fleeing like Drogon did. She approaches their chambers with a sense of resolve, but as she enters, her dragons react violently, their primal instincts overwhelming their bonds with her. They attempt to attack her, forcing Daenerys to flee from the room in panic. The moment is a stark reminder of the delicate balance she must maintain as both a ruler and a dragon queen. Her power is bound to the dragons, yet their uncontrollable nature is both a gift and a curse. Daenerys' journey in Meereen is one of stark contrasts. She seeks to establish peace and justice, but the forces of rebellion, Her own inner doubts and the untamed nature of her dragons stand as constant reminders of the complexities of her rule. As her enemies gather in the shadows and her own strength falters, Daenerys must confront the harsh realities of her position, both as a conqueror and a queen whose reign is far from secure.